Like to see who's going on here. So, good morning, Brother Chandler, George. I see you over there, sir. I see you staying healthy, doing all of his hiking up mountains and trying to get all of us people that don't eat right to eat right. Chuck Glover, this guy's turned into a professional Facebook photographer. Welcome. Gerald Sean, Southern Indiana, worked with him quite a bit, many years in buying houses in Southern Indiana. Adele. I don't know who iPad is. You never know who those iPad people are, Larry. So today we've got Larry Goins on. Have been friends with him for many years. And I'm excited to have him on today. He's just a cool guy. I think you guys will enjoy listening to him. Well, let me just get my screen here. We got the chat here. Somebody's already chatting. Let me see. Oh, that's just got to have the AI people that love to jump in on these calls somehow. Gotta love AI, right? All right. So welcome everybody. Thanks for everybody for coming in. I'm sure we're gonna have a couple more people that pop in the next couple of minutes here before we get going as we get going here. But today I have got my good friend Larry Goins on. Welcome, Larry.
What's happening? How you been, brother?
Pretty good, and I'm really excited to have you on today. Larry's a cool guy from South Carolina. You're right in the border, right there between South Carolina and North Carolina, right?
I'm in South Carolina in Rock Hill, right across the state line. We've got an office in Lake Wiley, and we actually went virtual about 6 or 8 months ago. So I'm working out of my home office, and we leased out the rest of our office space. So we're just about full.
There you go. So I've got some funny stories about Larry. When we first got started, I think I'll wait until the end of that. So, because I think it'll be interesting, and more people will want to see that. So, I do want to remind you guys of the previous calls that we've had. And actually, when I first met Larry, Wendy Sweet was actually working for Larry. So Wendy was actually one of our previous calls there. And I just want to remind you guys about we've had some really good calls this year and really worth going back and listening to them if you haven't been on and if you haven't been listening to them. I think you guys would definitely enjoy that. Me, since last month, did send this out to our investors and everybody. I just wanted to we did this kind of cool video, and I wanted to show this.
Hey everybody, if you're seeing this, you interact with Good Success or with Conduit Capital or with One Property Solutions, Sarah Joe, Listing Leaders Affiliated, or One Group Network. And we just have a message for you.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Maligayang Pasko. Merry Christmas.
Feliz Navidad.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Feliz Navidad.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
As you can see there, we just wanted to say Merry Christmas. We hope your holidays are blessed. We hope you get to spend time with friends and family. And we'll be here next year for your financial freedom needs, whether it's to buy real estate or to loan money or to invest in our Conduit Capital Fund. Or we're here to help educate with Good Success. We're here to help you buy and sell properties with Listing Leaders Affiliated. We love you. God bless.
As you guys can see, I was pretty sick. I was right in the middle of it when I did that video, but I wanted to make sure that we got that out to everybody. We had some fun with that. So hopefully you guys had a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Right before Christmas, I actually went on a missions trip here to Guatemala. And I think I talked about this a little bit on the last call, but I've been helping one of my friends that actually went to high school with build his church, Dan Wilder there in Chimaltenango. Also got to go see some fun things at this as Hobbit Tanego, which is kind of like this place that have all these hands, these really cool little places. So had some fun with that when we were out there. Got to meet this dude, got to figure out how far I was away from different places, and got to get my pictures on some hands out in the middle of nowhere. And then I get back from this, and I think this is starting to become a theme with me. Going on a missions trip. In April, I got back from a missions trip to Costa Rica with our seniors, and had a fire at my building. And then this happened a week after I got back from Guatemala here. Honestly, I'm really thankful to be alive. It was definitely not a, it was a very traumatic day. Still kind of dealing with a little bit of the PSTD from that. Every time you go through a intersection, when you're driving now, you're just looking a little bit, making sure that everything's good to go and nobody's coming. But it's interesting. God's kind of given me some stories about this, and even as I'm thinking about it right now, I think you never have a testimony without a test first. I think that's the first thing, and then second of all, I think in real estate we have these crashes at times, right? And sometimes you just all of a sudden out of nowhere things happen, and you're like, bam. And it kind of changes your perspective, and that pain that you felt, and that little bit of anxiety and PSTD, so to speak, with our real estate deals does sometimes dictate what we do from time to time. And, I think sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes it's a bad thing. We got to be careful to not have too much PSTD and try to get over those things and not get back out there and not drive and not make, our deals happen. But I think sometimes they teach us a good lesson on how to be careful and how to make sure that we're watching out for things. So upcoming, so some things that are upcoming. I'm going to be on this cruise here with Investor Addicts, February 11th through 18th. I know several people are going. I know we had a bunch of people join this from the last free for all event, and I've been announcing this since then. And just so you guys know, if anybody's listening to this and you are in my network, and you have an event coming up or something that you'd like for me to let people know about, just let me know, and I'd be glad to, happy to. Tom Nardone, really good friend of mine. I like him a lot. And Peggy, and appreciate them for putting this on. And we're gonna have fun with that. Also, I'm gonna be speaking at Dealmaker here. This is another good event. Another good friend of mine, Jim Ingersoll, puts this on every year, March 5th, 6th, and 7th. You guys, I promise you guys will enjoy this. This is one of those weekend meetings that is well worth it. You don't have $50,000 courses that are going to be sold at this, to some upgrade to something. That's not how this deal works. But you guys will really enjoy that. I'm actually doing a mastermind session. And if you guys saw the mastermind session I did about the busy bee, I'm going to bring back the busy bee. You guys will have a really good time with that. Also want to remind everybody, I am still raising funds. One of my goals for the year is to raise $25,000 for our seniors to go to Ecuador. If you guys have your speakers on there, if you guys can turn off your mics, that'd be good. But if anybody's interested in helping me with that, we are going to Ecuador this year, and I'm excited about that trip. And then also remind everybody about the Free For All event, September 5th through 7th. There are a couple different ways you guys can sign up, but goodsuccess.com/free-for-all is the way that you guys can sign up for that. We're going to have 3 cool days. And I just had this last week, I had 2 new sponsors sign up. And also I have a keynote speaker from a girl, and look her up. Trust me, you guys are going to enjoy her. If you're conservative, if you believe in faith-based, I promise you guys will love Jennifer Ruth Green. So she actually ran for office. She didn't win, but she was very close on a really hard seat to be able to win. She's actually a really good friend of mine, known her for many years. And she's starting to be in the networks as far as speaking and that kind of stuff. So you guys will enjoy her. She wrote a book, Battle Tested Leadership. She's actually a colonel. So she's been, through it, and love her to death. She's a good girl. You guys will enjoy her. Some pictures from last year's Free For All event. You guys can get, also you guys can get the videos from last year's Free For All event. And don't forget to join the Facebook group. If you guys are not part of the Facebook group already, make that happen. Yes, Larry Goins should go on our cruise, the next cruise to Alaska. I don't think I'm going to be able to make that cruise to Alaska, but Larry, there's a shout out from Tanya inviting you to go on their cruise to Alaska. But thanks, Tanya. Tanya's the other one that helps with that cruise. Appreciate you guys for putting that together. And then also, so what's coming up right now is I am right in the thick of our quarterly and yearly meetings with my teams. We run a version of EOS that I've kind of finagled over the years and kind of made it our own version of that. So we are setting goals. We're reviewing last year, reviewing last quarter, setting our yearly goals, setting our quarterly goals, putting our rocks together, putting together what we stopped doing, and trying to come together as a team and let everybody have a part of creating those plans for you. Hopefully you guys are doing that in your businesses. If you guys ever need help with that, reach out to me, let me know. I do enjoy helping people with that. Done it, not something I really promote that much, or don't really want to make it a big business, but if people want me to help them with that, I can do that for them. So my question for you guys today is, what are your goals for today? As we go through this presentation today, or just this talk with Larry, if you guys want to just throw those in the chat, if you guys haven't, and personal, it could be personal goals, it could be business goals. And it's interesting how sometimes us as entrepreneurs, our personal goals and business goals somehow kind of come together at times. And you'll see these with some of my top. So these are some of my top 5 goals. Obviously, all of our companies have goals, and I don't have time to go over all of them. But one of my goals, and I got Chandler on here, so I'm sure he can help me with this if I want to. I do want to lose 20 pounds. I'm down about 15 pounds from where I was about 3 or 4 months ago, and I'd still like to lose about 20 more pounds on that. And I just haven't made it a goal, and need to make it more of a priority on that. I want to do 4 mission trips this year. Already talked about raising $25,000 for the seniors. I've already raised, I think we've raised $12,000 already. So I got about $12,500 left for that. And then our fund, our Conduit Capital Lending Fund, I have a goal to have that at 10 million by the end of the first quarter. I don't normally talk a lot about that on these calls. But if that's something that you guys are interested in, if you guys want help with that, if you guys want help with that financial freedom that way, you do have to be an accredited investor. But we are over halfway there, and I've got 2 investors that are going to come in February. I think we have a really good shot to hit that this year. I mean, not this year, this first quarter. Really, the first quarter is when I'm really trying to make this happen. So it's really hard to find funds out there right now that will pay 12%. And I'm just saying that it's a super easy debt fund. We don't make it complicated for anybody. So if you guys are interested in that, let us know. And then lastly, and this might be one of my most important goals for the year, is to safely and with my sanity help transition my oldest daughter to college. So that's kind of what we got going on this year, and kind of some of my big goals. And whatever your goals are, I just want to remind you that you can do it. You can do it, be a conduit. And the way we do it is to figure out who needs help. And if you help enough other people get what they need, you can have them connected with you on one side of your conduit, and then you can go and give to the needs of others. Always want to encourage everybody to work to have the give, be a conduit, not a bucket. A couple more things before we get going here with Larry. If you're local to us in Northwest Indiana, January 18th, we've got Joseph Peterson, who's been a real estate investor right here in Gary, Indiana for the last 21 years. Done many deals here, and I'm excited to have him talk about some of the deals that he's done. He used to actually be a high school teacher in the public school. So good guy. I'm excited to have him. Hopefully you guys will be there 5:30 at our office, 2701 45th Street, Gary, Indiana. And then our next call is going to be another good friend of mine, Mike Kovachkoff, real estate attorney locally here. And he is probably the number 1 tax sale person in the state of Indiana. And I'll be honest with you, Indiana is one of those states that if you do tax sales, it is a countrywide tax sale. Everybody from the country is in Indiana. I don't know what the deal is. I don't know if why everybody loves Indiana tax sales, but Mike is the top of the top when it comes to Indiana for tax sales, and Indiana is one of the top tax sales in the country. So you guys will enjoy learning about tax sales with Mike Kovachkoff. So, all right, without further ado, I think Larry just decided to hop out. So maybe he thought I was going to keep talking. Sorry about that, Larry. But Larry Goins, welcome to our call. Before we get started, Larry, do you remember when me and you first met?
I do. It was way back at CG.
Yeah. So the first time I met Larry Goins was in Collective Genius, and I think it was 12 years ago. I think it was 2011, if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while.
Long time.
12, maybe it was 2012. So 2011, 2012. And this was back when CG first started. There was literally, I think, 20 something people in the group or something like that. It, was nowhere near, what it is today. But you know what, the funniest thing about our meeting is I was there, I was listening, I was intently taking notes. I took notes about 4 pages for every different speaker. And Larry was up there telling us about his education business and all this wholesaling, and he was wholesaling HUD homes, right? And we were wholesaling HUD homes. And I'm like, oh man, I got it. If anything, if I can learn something, I'm going to learn here from Larry Goins. I sat down, took all these notes. And the one thing I remember more than anything else, Larry, was Larry said he was doing 400 deals a year. And I wrote that down and I was like, what? How in the world are you doing 400 deals a year? So, me and my partner at the time got back and we took notes, and we're like, hey, out of all the people in Collective Genius, who do we want to go see? Like I always believe if you really want to learn from somebody, you can learn in a group, you can learn by being connected in the community, you can text them, you can have a phone call with them. But if you really want to understand their business, go hang out with them. Go to their office and see them for 2 or 3 days. I don't think that you will learn more about vision. I don't think you'll learn more about the nuts and bolts, and you won't be able to really put yourself in that position to actually go back and make it happen until you've gone. So Larry was one of the people we went to go see. We also went to go see Memphis Invest Properties, Memphis Invest Properties in Memphis, obviously. But when we sat down with Larry, I found out that I made a mistake. He didn't say he was doing 400 properties a year. He said he was doing 100 properties a year. And we were also doing 120, I think we did 140 deals or something that year. And I was sitting down at your office, Larry. I still remember this. And Larry had a great office on a nice highway with a lot of traffic. Am I right?
Right.
Right. A ton of traffic. And the first thing I could think of is, Larry, how come you don't have a We Buy Houses sign out front in your yard? And he's like, what in the world? I've been here for so many years. And it was really cool to kind of, have that time with him. And I think you guys did end up putting a We Buy Houses sign up.
The next week we had made a 4-foot by 20-foot banner and put it on the front of the building.
Yeah. If you're on a place, if you buy houses and you are on a location that gets any kind of traffic, make sure you've got a big We Buy Houses sign out front of that. There's, we even talked about this in our own companies. All of our houses that we're working on, we should have a We Buy Houses sign in front of those. And we've talked about it, never made it happen. So all the houses that we're doing rehabs on, making sure that we're putting We Buy Houses signs out there. But thanks for being on today, Larry. Larry's kind of changed a little bit since when I first met him. He was an educator and really focused a lot on that, did HUD Home Store, wrote a book on HUD Home Store, right, Larry?
HUD Homes half off. Yeah. We used to buy HUD houses as low as 20 cents on the dollar. And I would show screenshots of winning the auction, on HUD houses. And it's amazing, and we bought HUD houses up until probably 2018, maybe, and it just got so, and we were buying them in multiple states. And now there's so few of them right now, and it'll turn again, but there's so few of them now, you'd have to be buying in 10 or 20 states, to make it worthwhile.
Yep. I was right there with you. We were buying in the entire states of Indiana, Illinois, Michigan, and Ohio. Actually, where I met Sean. So Sean Holsapple, who's on this call right now, he was a realtor in Southern Indiana, and he was one of our realtor contacts that we, got connected with during those days. And you're right. I think right now I looked in the state of Indiana, and there's one house in our entire county, I think that anybody can bid on and nobody can bid on it. That is an investor. So, and again, like I'm not here, I don't think Larry's here to plug that book, but I'll plug it for him. Can people still get that book?
Yeah, I mean, I'm out of the education business. I sold that to REI Black Book. And so, yeah, I mean, you can still go to LarryGoins.com, order books and stuff like that. It's just, I'm out of the education business. I'm really big on vision. And, I mean, I'm in a hotel room right now. I left a meeting room from a mastermind. It's all about creating your personal and your business vision. And now I'm able to do that, and real estate has enabled me to do that.
That's awesome. So again, if you guys, I learned some things from that book, but he is right. Right now, it's not really 100% applicable in that market. But I remember those days. So let's talk about what you're doing now and kind of where you see things in real estate right now. I know that you've changed what you're doing. So let's go over those things, and we'll just let you, take the floor as much as you can here, Larry.
Sure, absolutely. I see some people on here I know. Ron, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. So, yeah, I mean, I've been wholesaling for, I don't know, 25, 30 years. I've been in real estate for about 35 years. My very first deal was an FHA non-qualifying assumable loan, and they haven't made those since 78, right? So, but there was still a few of them left over in the 80s. But that was my very first deal, and I'm very big on wholesaling. I still wholesale, but I've done wholesaling, fix and flips, private lending. I've done self-storage, mobile home parks. I've owned Dollar General stores, Shoney's restaurants, and stuff like that. But right now, our big focus is we still do wholesaling, but I'm a big fan of doing deals in a tax advantage account. For example, I do deals in my IRA. We have a safe harbor 401k because we have employees, and I also have an HSA. So I love doing deals in tax advantage accounts because you can kind of do what's called income shifting. Like if you get up to where, hey, it's going to knock me in another tax bracket, well, let me do a deal in my IRA. You do more, it's going to knock me in a tax bracket. Let me do one in my HSA, right? And if you keep the numbers right, where you're not a dealer or not doing dealer activity, you could do one or two a year in your HSA or IRA or 401k, right? You can even do an ESA or education savings account. And I love health savings accounts, HSAs, because it's not use it or lose it like an education account is, an ESA or a CISA, some people call it, Coverdell Education Savings Account. But I love the HSA because I've had my HSA for probably 6 or 7 years at least. And when I first set it up, we still paid for all of our medical expenses out of pocket, right? And my wife has a binder. It's literally a 3-ring binder with stuff printed out. And we've probably got, I don't know, $70,000, $80,000 worth of receipts that at any given time, if we needed some cash, we could add up, say, $10,000 worth of receipts, and we could get a cash payment from our HSA and not pay taxes on it, right? Yeah. So I just try to keep that in there and use it as like, it's almost like an annuity or a forced savings account. And the cool thing about a HSA also is when you turn, it's either 62 or 65, I can't remember, but you can also use it as a traditional IRA. Just pull money out as a traditional IRA, which is pretty cool. So I do a deal or two every year in my HSA and a deal or two, like I'm doing some land development right now in one of my IRAs, and love doing that kind of stuff. But we do operate a wholesale business, and we also do self-storage. I've probably bought 7 or 8 self-storage in the last few years, and we've got one for sale right now. We've got another one that we own, and we also do private lending. We do like your fund you were talking about. We do hard money lending. It's just we don't raise money or anything. We just use our own funds, and my wife kind of runs and manages that. And and we do 12 and 5. That's kind of what our terms are. 12% interest, 5 points interest only payments up to a year.
Oh, awesome. So I'm glad that you brought up the whole tax advantage accounts things. And I think the HSA, it acts like a traditional and a Roth. So from my understanding and what Quincy's taught me, you get a tax deduction when you put the money in,
right?
And you don't pay tax when it comes out. So you're not getting taxed on the seed or the crop. And that's the only account that's like that out of all the accounts. So if you ask Quincy Long, what's the first account he funds every year? He's like, I fund my HSA.
And
So,
me, because I'm over 60, right? And my wife, or actually it's over 55, I believe. And now my wife is over, it's 54, 55. She'll turn that in February. So I can literally put as a family I can put $10,300 into my HSA this year. And I have two HSAs accounts. This is really cool if anybody wants to hear this. This is really cool. I have two HSAs, right? I have the one that is with a self-directed custodian. So, and I have a single member LLC where I can buy and sell or buy and rent or whatever properties, right? Then I have a second HSA at hsabank.com, right? And the cool thing about HSA Bank is you can put the money in there. They'll give you a debit card for yourself, for your spouse, for your kids, whatever. And when you go to buy, prescription medicine or even over-the-counter medication, because a lot of over-the-counter medication is HSA approved as well. So I have the HSA at HSA Bank, which I put my annual contribution in, and I use that to pay for medical expenses throughout the year. And then I have the other one over here that I grow. So I'll have a nest egg to use as traditional IRA, or as we get older, we're going to have more medical expenses, so we can use it for that as well, which is really cool.
Absolutely. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. We don't talk enough about that. And people ask me all the time, what's one of my biggest mistakes? And I say one of my biggest mistakes was creating a financial freedom plan outside of my IRAs, because now I feel like I have to go back and redo it inside those tax advantage accounts. So what kind of deals are you guys doing wholesaling right now? Are things still picking up? Where's the market at now? How are you guys getting deals? How are you guys selling deals? How's it all working with you guys for you guys?
That's a
right
great
now?
question. I'm very big on vision, creating your own vision, and as I know you are as well. And I mean, we had at one time, between our education business and our real estate business, we had 26 employees, right? I'm over it, right? I don't I don't mean that in a bad way. I love people, but I'm tired of recruit, train, motivate, manage, right? I'm tired of that. And I'm 63 years old, right? So I'm at the point, we got a very small team. It's myself and Candace, Candace, and her mom is our accounting manager, and then we have two VAs in the Philippines. And what we do is we mail out about 6,000 to 7,000 postcards a week in about 15 different counties outside of the Charlotte MSA. I'm also a big believer in small town USA. You know the drill. You guys do the same thing. Small town USA. I stay out of the Charlotte MSA. I stay out about 2 or 3 counties out all around, right? So we mail out those 6,000 or 7,000 postcards a week, and the phone rings. We've got a VLM, a virtual lead manager, and she'll take the call or answer the voicemail or whatever. Or if it's after hours, the answering service gets it. But she'll get that lead and she'll turn it over to me. I'm the only acquisition guy. I don't have acquisition people anymore. Through attrition, they eventually left. They either didn't make it or went out on their own, right? And I don't mean this in a bad way, but I can probably put a deal better together than anybody I'd ever hired, because I'm always looking at, how can I make this work, right? I mean, I just bought a self-storage facility and I got 85% seller financing, 5% interest, 30-year, non-recourse, fully assumable, first right of refusal, right? 30 year, and the guy's 85 years old, right? and I paid over $1 million for the facility. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, he knew what he was doing. He's a very sharp guy. And his whole thing was, if something happened to me, he said, I want my young girlfriend to get this $5,000 a month, right? So I'm like, how young is your girlfriend? He's like, well, she's a lot younger than me. She's 70.
I had one of these conversations with a loan I just did with a lady. It's a 15-year loan, and she was concerned about the same thing. So you're absolutely right when you're talking to people, trying to figure out how to make these deals work. And you also know what you'd be willing to accept better than employees do. So I understand so that's interesting. So you're the acquisition guy. So you're also acquiring self-storage. You're also acquiring wholesale deals. And are you the only sales guy too? Are you outside sales too?
No, actually, yeah, we got a very small team. There's only 5 of us, and I do acquisitions. Candace does disposition and transaction coordinating. And Teresa is our accounting manager. She does accounting for all of our businesses. And she's also the manager for our self-storage facilities. And then we have two VAs in the Philippines. One of them is a lead manager, and the other one markets our wholesale properties on Facebook and Craigslist and puts it on our website and all that stuff. And she does all that, as well as she does she's what I call a setter for me as well. So she'll take a call or she'll call a person back and she'll ask them some pertinent information, and then she'll transfer it to me live and I'll close them over the phone. We buy everything over the phone. We don't go look at it until we have it under contract. Or sometimes we take the contract with us.
Yeah, we kind of learned that in HUD days, didn't we?
Right. Right.
Everybody's like, what? You don't even look at the house until you have it under contract? Yep, pretty much.
That's the way it is, listen, and you'll get people that will say, you can't buy a house over the phone. Sir, I'm not going to buy it over the phone. All we're going to do is get a little bit of preliminary information and see how we might be able to work together, and then I'm going to come out and take a look at the property. And then I just go through my whole regular routine and, I get them to agree to a price and we go out there and look at it,
Are you doing a lot of seller finance stuff right now where are you making 2 or 3 offers with people when you're trying to close them, or is
I always make a cash offer first. And here's another really good tip. Okay. My list, I use a list that's under $100,000 value, right? And it's free and clear and non-owner occupied. Number one, I hate owner occupied because they got nowhere to go. They can't find a place. They can't rent as cheap as they're living there, right? And they got to move. I don't like owner occupied. I buy owner occupied, but I don't like owner occupied, right? So my list, unless I'm using a specialty list like Audanic, I do non-owner occupied, under 100,000, and free and clear. Okay, and I want free and clear because I don't like sub 2. I'm not a sub 2 guy. I don't like it. Don't want to do it. There's too much liability, too many things that could go wrong, and you're basically married to that person, even if you find a buyer on the back end. It's just my personal preference. I know there's a lot of people doing it. They love it. It's just not for me, right? But I like the free and clear because if they say no to my price, listen, I can buy anything at the right price with the right terms, right? Mm. It doesn't make any difference. I can buy anything at the right price. So, and most of our sellers, I shouldn't say most, a lot of our sellers are what I'd call tired landlords. They're 70 years old and they're tired of dealing with tenants, trash, termites, and toilets, right? The property just went vacant. They had to evict the person, or they went over there and it's trash. They got to go in and do paint and carpet and whatever again, So then I just pitch them on seller financing, and I'm pretty good at explaining it in a way that gets them thinking, wow, yeah, that sounds pretty good right there.
Yeah, Larry's the type of guy that you would sell him your house. Trust me. As you can see, like as you're listening to him right now, he's the type of guy that if he called me up and wanted to buy my house, he would probably figure out how to make it happen. So you said you always do a cash offer first. Is that
well, what I do, my model is really simple. Okay, I'll pull up Zillow. I don't even have MLS access. I pull up Zillow, and I type in the address. And well, actually in our CRM, all I got to do is click on it and it pops up Zillow. And then I look at all the comps around and I sort them by price, lowest to highest. And I say, well, Tom, let's just take a look here and see what's going on in the market. And by the way, Tom, this is all public information. I'm going to give you the addresses so I'm not just making it up. It's all public information, right? So let's see here. Here's 123 Oak Street. It's selling for, wow, it's sold for $23,500. Wow, it's a 3-bedroom. You said yours is a 3-bedroom, right? Oh, no, yours is a 2-bedroom. Oh, okay. So here's another one right here. 321 Oak Street. It's sold for 26. It's 1,200 square feet. Let me see. Oh, yours is only 1,000 square feet. Okay. Based on what based on what you're seeing here, what do you think your property would probably sell for? That's kind of what I try to do. Well, there's no way I'm selling my property for that. Well, let me ask you a question. How much could you sell it for today? If I pay all the closing costs, all the attorney fees and everything, what could you sell it for? In your pocket, walk away with.
That's good. That's good. What could you sell it for?
Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And then if they say oh, $50,000. Well, unfortunately, I mean, I'm not trying to make a killing, Tom, but I do have to make a little something. You understand that, or you wouldn't have called me, right? Otherwise, I'd just open up the MLS and I'd buy everything. So, basically, the only way I could pay you that 55,000. I know you said it's a rental property, but you're tired of dealing with tenants, trash, termites, and toilets. So the IRS has this thing called installment sale, right? They know investors like cash flow, right? And the installment sales, an IRS term, basically, if you sell your property instead of receiving all your money up front in cash, you get monthly installments plus interest, right? You're able to spread that tax bill out over the term of that installment. So, I mean, hey, if you sold this property for 55,000 cash right now, you're going to have a huge tax bill. I can help you save that and keep the cash flow and get rid of tenants, trash, termites, and toilets, and no longer worry about taxes, insurance, repairs, or maintenance. Does that sound like something you'd like to hear more about? And they always say, I shouldn't say always, most of the time they say yes. So then I just pull out my financial calculator and I start running some numbers.
I actually went to a Larry Goins training seminar, a 3-day weekend here in Chicago. You had that. And Larry would go step by step through all of his little processes and go over, talking with somebody on the phone, just like that. So, so then how are you? So that's how you're buying them, right? So how are you mostly selling your wholesale deals right now?
Well, every property we get, we put it on Facebook, right? I'm actually shut down from Facebook Market right now and have been since September, but I can't get back on Facebook. If anybody has any Facebook connections or any way to get back on Facebook Market, let me know, right? But we would put everything on Facebook. Now we actually pay. We run ads and put them in groups and stuff, geo-targeted, right? But we'll put the property in there with a link to our website, and then they'll opt in, or when they message in, we'll say, send me your phone number and email, and we'll send you some more pictures and info. So we put those people in our database, right? And now because of a lot of the email laws and the more stuff about texting and all that, now we send them a link to go opt in themselves, and they have to check a box that says I agree to be spammed.
All right, and then so self-storage. What is a good deal for you for self-storage? I would love to kind of go over that, and what are you looking for when it comes to self-storage?
And I don't know a whole lot about analyzing self-storage. I do not know a whole lot about it, right? But what I do know is I know a good deal when I see one, right? So I know a good deal when I see one. So I don't buy a whole lot of self-storage, but when a deal comes up, I look at it, I make an offer on it, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Of the 7 or 6, 7, 8, I think it's probably 7 or 8 I bought in the last few years. I think about half of them were seller finance.
Hmm. So,
Yeah.
what are you looking for when it comes to seller finance? Like, what do your numbers say?
I'm just looking for something that I'm looking for something with some value add. I don't really care if it's cash flowing all that much, but I just want to run the numbers, run some comps, find out what some other people are getting in the market, right? As far as rents. And then I can look and see how much I can get for rents. And then I'll see what I can, what I could eventually rent it for and get it filled up. And then I'll make my offer based on that, right? And I mean, I'm not looking at buying something at an 8 cap or something like that. I mean, that's an end user. I'm looking for a value add type thing.
Okay, cool. And then when it comes to the private lending, so like let's just go over your stipulations for private lending. You did say you do 5 points and 12%.
Right.
But like what are your parameters for that?
Well, we typically stay 70% LTV or lower. We will fund the purchase and the repairs up to 70%, but we want to get an ARV appraisal, after repaired value appraisal, and we want to get we want to verify funds. We want to verify that they have some reserves in the bank. We want an experienced investor, but if they're not experienced, we've worked with a few and kind of helped them out a little bit and help them learn the business as long as they seem pretty sharp and maybe they have construction experience or something. So we've helped them do that as well. But it's not like we got $5 to $10 million out there. We just use our own money, right? So we might have 10 or 15 loans going. I mean, it's not huge, at a $150,000, $200,000 a loan.
So, you do the appraisal. What is your max LTV? Do you guys, do you work with payments on that, or do you guys just do it all up front, or?
It's up to 70% LTV
70%.
of the after repaired value, and it's interest only monthly payments.
Gotcha.
And
then you're-
sometimes, like, let's say it's a new borrower, and let's say they don't have much experience, we might ask them to prepay 3 months worth of interest in advance. Just,
Gotcha.
I mean, every lender has their own little thing. They might want some prepaid. They might want you to, put some reserves to the side or something. But yeah, I mean, we try to make it win-win for everybody. We want them to succeed because we really only probably have 3 to 5 borrowers. I mean, it's not like it's a huge business, but we got 3 to 5 borrowers. But if they keep a deal or 2 or 3 going at any given time, I mean, we could keep, $1 million or 2 out on the street.
Right, exactly. And that really, what he just talked about really explains to you guys how easy it can be. Even David Phelps, goes through a whole process and teaches people like how people think that they need 10, 11, $12 million to retire. But if you could really keep, $2 million deployed at 10%, you really could easily make $200,000 a year and never really lose any of that nest egg. So, and be able to make plenty of money. So that's pretty cool. Anything else that you'd like to talk about, or you've talked about vision a couple times throughout today. Anything else you'd want to, any point you want to get across, or anything you want to promote or let anybody know about?
Well, I got nothing to promote, but I do want to say that I'm really proud of what you're doing by putting God first in your business. I think that's extremely important. And I mean, and I try now to do everything I do to glorify God, whatever it is. And I fail at that every day. But I think it's very, very important. And, people get so caught up with, I want to make 100 grand a year. I want to make 20,000 a month, whatever it is, right? But, it's not the money that's important. It's what you do with your life and how you live your life. And I think that is very important. And I'm just so happy to hear you. I mean, all of your team, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. I didn't hear a single Happy Holidays, right? I thought that was great. I love it. And I put that first in my vision and in my in what I try to do every day. In fact, I was before I went on here, I'm like, God, help me to glorify you any way I can on this podcast, right? So I think it's very important, and I wish more people did what you did do on your podcast and on your shows by bringing God out front.
Amen. Appreciate that. I thank you for being on today. Thanks for spending some time with us, and leaving the mastermind for a little bit to be with us. Again, if you guys ever get a chance to hang out with Larry, if he's at an event, I promise you it'll be worth your time. As you guys can see from just the short time that we've had with us, like I've written down 30 or 40 different little things. Just the way he talks about people and talks to people and tries to make deals work. Is just a really cool guy. So I appreciate you being on with us. He's been wholesaling for 30 years and he's still wholesaling. So think about that. Not many people stick with wholesaling that long. A lot of times people wholesale and then they get to fix and flip, right? And then they go into rentals and then they get into lending. I mean, he's still on the other end of that lending. It does seem like a lot of people do end up going into lending. And if you're not a lender currently, I promise you, I even tell people as one of the ways to raise private money, be a lender. And I think if once you're a lender one time, it'll be so much easier for you to raise private money because you'll realize what the real opportunity is. Because once your money goes out and then comes back, it gets a little addictive. Right, Larry?
Right.
You know, like, and then you kind of have a problem because you're like, oh, I have my money again. I got to go, I got a job. I have to go find a place for this money. So, private lending is a great place to be able to put you know, those funds. I've done really well with that, and I really encourage you guys to do that. And that's really what all of our fund does. Our fund does the 3.5% and 13%. So it's a little bit different. Our LTV is similar. You know, we've got some ways that we you know, we don't always do appraisals if they're local to us and we can run our own comps. But if they're out of state and I really don't feel like I have a good feel for what, you know, the value is, I'll want that. You know, running credit, we do run credit for people. I'm not sure if you do that or not. I think credit's important. I've heard
We do a
many
background check.
or background check. There you go. So like many of our lending funds and people I know, Wendy and Tom Barry and lots of other people that I know. I think there's I think he's still on here. I'm not looking at everybody, but we've got a lender in Houston that's in here. Rick, you know, I've heard it over and over again. I've never had a borrower default on a loan that had a credit score over 700. So it's like that credit score is a big deal. You know, if somebody can, you know, make sure that they got to the point where they have a 700 plus credit score, they believe in paying people back. That's basically what that means, right? So, I think I've got some questions in here. And then what if you are not yet an accredited investor? Can you join the lending fund? So no, I cannot accept people in my lending fund, but there are other ways that I can work with you. Just so you guys know, it wouldn't be in the lending fund particularly, but there are some other ways. So Adele, if you want to get with me, or if you want to get with Adam on this call, if you want to, you know, pop your email there or phone number, me or Adam can get back with you and give you more information about that. Or I can connect you with Heather, who's my lending coordinator for our own deals. And we could definitely talk about private lending. I love private lending. It's one of my big three. I look at three different parts of my financial freedom plan. One is my rentals, and like real estate is kind of one, whether it's rentals or, you know, self-storage or business lending. I mean, not business lending, but the people that rent from me at my business, but properties is one. My business is another piece of it. And then private lending is my other big part of my financial freedom plan. So appreciate you being on.
I have a question, if you
Go
don't
for it.
mind.
Sure.
I do have a serious need. I made a loan in Illinois about 10 years ago to an investor, right? And it was a short-term loan, right? They were going to turn around and sell it and pay me off. Well, instead of the investor turn around, selling it and pay me off, they moved into it and never made a payment. So I foreclosed, went to the foreclosure hearing, and whenever their attorney told the judge that she lives in it, then it became a consumer loan, right? So had to go through the whole process like a regular foreclosure. Then she files bankruptcy. Then she quits paying the HOA as a townhouse. Then she quits paying the taxes. I'm having to pay all this stuff. This has been going on for maybe 10 years, right? Does anyone know a good foreclosure attorney? I've got an attorney, but it's a big company, a big firm, and they're just nickel and diming me to death, and I have to pay them $250 for a hearing every quarter or something to do with bankruptcy in Illinois. They have a quarterly hearing or something. I don't know what it is, but I know a lot about real estate, but I have no idea what this is. But I need some foreclosure attorney or bankruptcy attorney or something on this side of it that can get this foreclosure or they get this property, this note released from the bankruptcy so I can get this property back and be done with it.
Yeah, that's what stinks. You're in the middle of this. You do need a bankruptcy attorney and a foreclosure attorney. It's like both. I wish Mike was on here, but I think he's hopped off. Mike Avachkov would be the person I would tell you to connect with, because
He is on here.
Is he still on here?
Yeah, well, he just made a comment.
Okay, there you go, Mike. There we go.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're not currently, well, I'm getting sporadic payments through the bankruptcy, right?
Okay.
I might get 2 months in a row, then it might be 3 or 4 months before I get anything, right? But it's all through the bankruptcy. And for some reason, this firm that I'm dealing with, there's some kind of a hearing they have to go to, but it keeps getting put off to some kind of a hearing for them to stay on top of the status of the bankruptcy or something. I don't even know what that's about. And I've asked them many times, but they can't explain it in layman's terms.
So do you have a bankruptcy attorney or a foreclosure attorney?
It's a foreclosure attorney.
You definitely need to talk to somebody who does bankruptcy. It's for sure one of the most complicated fields of law. State law attorneys generally don't do it. You either do it or you don't.
So most bankruptcy attorneys I've heard of, and I know of none in Illinois, but most of them are on the side of, let us file bankruptcy for you. I need somebody on the other side. Are there attorneys for both sides, kind of like there are, for defendants and plaintiffs, or
There are. I'll put my email in the chat. Shoot me an email. I've got a couple guys you can talk to.
All right, cool. That'd be awesome.
What county is that in, Larry?
Oh man, I have no idea.
Okay. Is it Chicago?
It's northern part of Illinois though.
I can tell you in just 1 second. Let me look it up in my email and see.
Well, this is cool. Larry got to be on here to help us, and we get to listen to him, and now we get to help him. I think that's pretty cool. We don't get to do that all the time. But I will definitely connect you two offline with a text between both of you guys. But Mike is right here in Lake County, and we're right across the border from Illinois. We're right by Chicago, so like we could definitely help you there with that. So it's
in Will County.
Will County. Okay, that's better than
University Park, Illinois.
There you go.
Okay.
That's right by us.
Nice.
If this wasn't being videotaped. Oh, so that's awesome. Well, thanks for being on, Larry. I think what I'll do to help with this, to make that connection, is I'll just text you guys in a group. Now that is his email if you want to write it down, kovachkofflaw@gmail.com.
Yeah, I wrote it down.
Is our next guest. So he's going to be
nice.
Speaking next month on tax sales.
Awesome.
And like I said at the very beginning of this, and I think even if you're not in Indiana, I think it's worth being on. He's going to go through Indiana because every state is different and every county is different when it comes to tax sales. But I promise you, tax sales is one of those things that I think has gone away to a certain degree in certain parts of the country, but I think we're going to start see it coming back. And you definitely want to be on the education and be able to learn how to get houses on tax sales. So next month is our next call, and that's going to be February 6th at 10 a.m. Central. Thanks again, Larry. I'll let you go to get back to your mastermind, but thanks for investing in our community. Thanks for putting God first. And even though, you know what, every one of us fail every single day, it takes a humble person to be able to admit that. And I appreciate you doing that. Appreciate you being on. Thank you guys. Thank everybody for being on. God bless you. I hope you guys have a good day. If you haven't signed up yet for the free for all, make that happen. Hopefully if you guys are local, we'll see you next Thursday night at I think it's 5:30 or 6:30. I'm not sure. Just check out the website. I think it's 6:30. What time is that? Somebody help me with that. I normally have it in front of me. So next Thursday in the meetup group, and
5:30.
5:30.
Freya says 5:30.
Thank you, Freya. One cool thing about our little video that we did, Larry, is we even had a lot of our VAs that got on there and did their pictures too. So our VAs have been a part of our team, and I'm really proud of them. And we work really together really well. I actually even made one of my managers in one of my companies a VA for our property management company for marketing. But appreciate you being on. Have a good day, sir.
Thanks,
And
guys. Good to
everybody
see you.
being on.